Okay, so again, my name is Cassidy Brush, and my project is called the Collaboration Connection. And as I mentioned earlier, really the cornerstone of my project is communication, and that's, I think, really essential for environmental management, because communication is the glue that binds all these environmental systems together. And I think just as an environmental managers down the road, we have a lot of challenges, and such as climate change and other issues, and being able to speak to those and discuss potential outcomes as well as solutions is really vital. But I think as importantly, it's really important to discuss the success stories within conservation, and that's what my project has depicted. And for me, that positive voice actually is, I think, an inspiration to a lot of people, and I also think it's a great leverage point for people to build upon. So what I've been trying to do is make my project, be a platform which people can work off of, and it is pretty much a storytelling site. So with that, I'm going to take you on a quick tour of my project, and maybe. So you gotta watch this. Wait.
Do you need speakers up?
No, that's okay. Thanks. But anyway, I've watched this flyer about 100 times. But I don't know if any of you were at my presentation last August, but the impetus for this project was that it's really based on a great story, and it's a story about a Wilson's warbler that was banded in Monteverde, Costa Rica, and it made a 2,100-mile neotropical flight to Rocky Mountain National Park, where it was found by the park science folks, and it really inspired all these really meaningful connections between the two countries. And I think that was a huge outcome, and that's really where this all began. So when I was introduced to my community sponsor, that was a platform. She really wanted to promote the stories of what they're doing between these collaborators. And I'm going to kind of walk you through the website. I'm not going to touch on everything, just sort of the points that I think are most relevant. So I represented 5 stakeholders. There's Centinela Cloud Forest Reserve in Costa Rica, the Estes Park Sister Cities Association, as well as their companions down in Monteverde, Costa Rica, the Estes Institute, Rocky Mountain National Park, and the Monteverde Institute in Costa Rica. And what this website is really doing is it's become a hub of information. It's to define their missions as well as what they value and their collective success stories, and again, as a platform for all of them to use. And it's also designed to be a legacy piece, so a place where students can actually go, share their, kind of log in, share their experience videos, and blog what they've done as citizen scientists and how these experiences have affected them by traveling back and forth between the two countries. And my methods were really going to Costa Rica, going to Estes Park, interviewing the people, these collaborators, as well as their associates, and kind of trying to pull all that information together and try to make this message make sense for all of them, and have it be a storytelling venue for them. So there are 9 sections, and it is bilingual, which was probably the hardest part, to get that to work with the maps. But it is bilingual. It's an auto. It's auto, but it also does have a manual capability, and that's for the dialects, so that you can actually go in there and change the wording as the site changed. And it's connected to a YouTube channel, which houses all the videos that I had taken and translated throughout the problem. That would be a project. Ooh, this is the problem. So the collaborators. So this is an important page, because these are the partners within the project, and they each have really a unique story to share. They are really incredible individuals. They they all have a really important community presence within each town. And just so, this is actually gives all of their bios. And this is Deborah Hamilton. She is my community sponsor. And when I was down there, I was fortunate enough to go mist netting with her. And while we were out there, I was able to video her and the experience. And again, so I tried to incorporate these videos within the site. I better take it off Spanish since that's something else that was very interesting. So building bridges is just, this is a transition page that it's really how these organizations are building bridges both socially and ecologically. And they're doing this 3 different ways. Through the student exchange program, there is a cultural enhancement component through the Sister Cities program, and also a more ecological synergy within the Sister Parks program. And so each 3 of these items does have its own page. I won't go through each page, but it's important to understand, what Sister Cities is a national program, and it was instituted by the Eisenhower administration in 1956. And really what that is, the whole point of that is to really gather up sort of these collective values within each of these communities, and then really inspire interpersonal relationships and exchanges both through culture and through municipalities. So they're trying to create this learning experience. And in 2004, Monteverde and Estes Park became Sister Cities. And what that actually did was create this, this momentum. So they decided to become Sister Parks as well. And so that happened later. And the Sister Parks is, as I had mentioned before, between Rocky Mountain and Santa Elena Cloud Forest Reserve. And what the Sister Parks program is interested in is linking the cultural relationships between these parks to enhance their management objectives, but it also has this sharing of resource knowledge, and I think that's a really key piece of it. Rocky Mountain is also a sister park with Tatras National Park in Poland, so there's this really cool triangulation going on there. Also probably the most powerful bridge that I think that they've really kind of woven together is a student exchange program, and all of the collaborators host these student exchanges within their community, and they come together on all sorts of ways, on sharing the cost, as well as just facilitating it within their own neighborhoods. And they cover a range of subject matter when the students come to, this is in Santa Elena Reserve when I was down there. They're doing some stream monitoring. They also do trap cameras. They collect data from these cameras. So there's this really intense science exchange, and it has really helped the students learn firsthand how their home parks can compare with these parks abroad. And I think it's been really a great way for them to share learning, and it just gives them a comparative baseline, which is nice. And these videos, this is Meyer on the right, and he's an instructor down at Monteverde Institute, and this was a day of stream monitoring down in the Santa Elena Cloud Forest, and I was down there with them, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't understand a lot of it, but I got the translation later. But it was super great experience. And then just the real centerpiece of this site is Explore Connections. It's a map that highlights. It's a map that highlights the work that's taking place within these 2 communities. So in Monteverde, for instance, you can go in and you can click on the trap camera, and then it's going to bring up what these trap cameras are actually capturing within the rainforest. And these cameras were donated by the Sister Cities program from Estes Park. So it just grew from there. And the point of this map is that I think it's just something that can be built upon, that the educators and the students can go in, add their videos, but also just tell the story. You actually meet the people that live there, and you can see the science that's actually taking place. And that map can be expanded to the globe, and if you go down here, there's Estes Park as well. Thank you. So the map, I just really liked that map. That was a lot of fun. And then you can just kind of put videos in, you could put videos of whatever you want in there. So student experiences, again, this is for, to be built upon. This is Walter, who is the environmental educator at the San Helena Cloud Forest Reserve, and he was really instrumental with me in hooking me up with the students so that I could go out and video and getting into these stream programs. And he saw a bear in Rocky Mountain Park, and it's a great story. So, you know, it's a storytelling venue, and you know, we'd interviewed the students and to ask them what was the best part of this experience for you. So this is a place where they can share that information. And then finally, there's Get Involved, which is what you can do. You can be a citizen scientist, you can volunteer, you can donate, and it connects you to each of these organizations so that you can learn more about it if you need to. And I guess for me, just to conclude, really, oops, I didn't mean to do that. But I guess my expectations coming into the project were probably different than the outcome, and that I thought that this website was probably going to be more of a something that would be connected directly to these organizations, and more of the student component as a legacy piece, and I think that was really important because I wanted to be continued. But there was an unexpected outcome which was really positive for me, and which is this March, the municipality of Monteverde formed a new commission, and what this new commission was designed to do is to sort of bring this community together, because there's all these different fractions and they weren't really cooperating. And so they created this commission, and the commission met, and they really want to use the website as their platform for all future communication. So that was a surprise, and my community sponsor is actually on the board, and she said, well, we just had a joint session, and communications are the biggest part. They're very excited about this. So that was great for me because it's something that was very useful to them. And my community sponsor, who's Deborah Hamilton in the Monteverde Institute, is a board member for the Sister Cities program, so she's going to be able to transition this, so I'm not so worried about it not happening when I'm doing whatever. So that was great, as well as another board member who's the environmental educator, Walter. He's on the board, so he will also oversee the student piece to make sure that that gets integrated as well. So that is really exciting for me, and I guess the bottom line was to be involved with these people that are super interested, are really vetted in this conservation movement, and getting the science piece to really connect to the communities or gateway communities. There's a lot going on. They're really trying to integrate that, and I think that was really broadening for me personally, because I think Ryan said it earlier, they're pretty separate things usually, science and the community, but they're really trying to make it work in both areas, both socially and ecologically. So I think that's kind of key to future conservation, and I was really fortunate to be involved in that. So that's it for me. So. And I forgot to thank everybody. So I want to thank Jessica and the MEM program and all the folks that made it happen, the Haley Fund and so forth. I couldn't have done it without everybody, and I really appreciated that. So questions, anyone?
So as your project grows, do you anticipate the number of stakeholders also increasing, or do you think it's just going to stay at the 5?
That's a great question. It depends on how much energy is put into the effort, I think. So for instance, I would have loved to go to Poland and see Tatras National Park. That is a really cool connection. Like if you look at that map, that's Rocky Mountain National Park is a sister park for them, and I think a lot of the collaborators, particularly the gentleman that I've been dealing with in Estes Park, he really wants to make these stronger connections, both as parks but as communities. He wants them to kind of come concurrently. So I think it's more how much effort's being put behind it. I could see it growing, absolutely. But people don't necessarily know about it, and I guess it's not being promoted that much at this point.
So, because I was going to say, with all the educational activities that you're doing, like to have more funding for that would probably just increase the amount of enrollment, which would increase the amount of advocacy. But
yeah, that's a good point. Because now a lot of it's privately funded. No, well, it's actually, I have no idea. It's very vague. But I mean, the park pays for stuff, and then the Institute does things like puts people up with host families. So there's a lot of intricacies that are sort of gratis that aren't being, there's not a dollar amount on them, but they're very valuable. Good question.
Such a cool resource. It was really neat to see all of the different elements you had put together, and it just made me wonder, do you have some sort of communication plan along with it to be able to sort of diffuse it into those two different communities, or?
So, no, but the I think within the communities there are community leaders that are sort of taking the lead on that. For instance, this newly formed commission, that was essential for the sister cities program to really continue, because it was struggling. And you have two different cultures with very different modes of communication, and you sort of need leadership on each end to drive that. And so that's why this site is great, because even the Sister Cities program in Estes Park they don't have a website. So this is like going to be their thing to communicate, and they can create that messaging. I mean, I worked with each of them to try to get the messaging for each of their organizations, but their organizations have very different missions, although they have this synergy. So, but that's good. I don't have one single plan, no. It's just sort of like two people are going to have to lead it on either end. Yeah. So. John.
What did you think about, in visiting these two places in the towns, Estes Park and is it Monteverde, or?
Yeah, the area of Monteverde.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different towns in the city there.
Right. What was your understanding just of the level of awareness of, like, generally people, being aware or not of the other place, the sister town?
I think that they're very aware of the other town, but it's not as strong a relationship as they would like it to be, and I think that's why they're trying to do this. They're trying to get some new blood in there to get the relationship better. It really different. I mean, Estes Park is very different than Monteverde. I mean, I'm not even sure how to answer that. The San Atlantic Cloud Forest Reserve is run by educators, so all the students in the school, people are really vetted in that, whereas Rocky Mountain National Park is just a huge national park with millions and millions of people. So the towns, they're similar, but they're really not. And I don't know, there's a lot of disconnect within the community, but I think these are the kind of things that bring them together. And if they know about them, that's why they're trying to promote it.
Yeah, that's a great presentation and great concept. But I was just wondering if this kind of initiative could be domesticated elsewhere, like in another scale, for example, in Africa.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm just like looking at the domestication of this kind of great idea in another part of the world. You worked in South America, but I'm just thinking like if it could be domesticated elsewhere outside the Americas.
I think you should go for it. Because, I mean, I really do think that, I mean, I learned so much, and I didn't know, and there's still a lot that I don't know, because there is a language barrier for me that some of the nuances were lost, and even if you're fluent. But I think that if you have an idea of a concept of where you can centralize, or what the hub of information could be, and who could really connect to that to make a difference, you have to sort of pick that. I mean, I thought education was the thread that all of these guys brought together. So if you can think of what that one thing is that could unite some people, I think you should, in any kind of respect, I think you would find success in that, because they want a win-win. People really want something positive to jump onto. So it doesn't have to be a national park program, it could be more on a local level.